Hello all. So I got to change out the CV Axle on this driver's side on the 2012 Toyota Corolla. So I thought I'd make a video on it, how you can go about doing it. And it's not too terribly difficult. This one, it clicks when you go to turn, so I know it's the CV Axle. This is going to be the bolt coming in from the front that we're going to have to take off. And this is the CV Axle right here. Comes right up and it slides right in back here. Hopefully you can see that. And it's right here, the CV Axle. And it's sliding right into the transmission right there. Try to get a different angle here. So as you can see, that's it right there. It slides right in. That'll just pull out. There's no nuts on that end. So the only part about that is usually you have to pry it to pop it out, which isn't that big a deal, but basically what's going on that side. And it comes in here and it's held on by this nut on the other side that I just showed you. So there's two ways you could do it, and you can drop these bolts and then take your tie rod off, and you can just pick it up that way, which a lot of people do. Or you could pop it off up here with these two, which I think I'm going to go and do it that way. I'm going to have to take off this ABS sensor and loosen up this brake line a little bit, but I don't know, either way it's like 50-50 which way you want to do it. Like I said, I'm going to go and do it the top way. If you do want to do it down here, like I said, just pop these off, these three, and pop off your tie rod right there. So a few parts you're going to need, or the way I'm going to do it, what I'm going to use. So I'm going to use a 22 millimeter. I need a 30 millimeter. Sometimes these could be a little different onto the front right here, but for the car here and for this, it's using a 30 millimeter. And I'm going to need a 10 millimeter for the ABS. Take the ABS off, and a 14 to break loose that brake line a little bit, so it just gives me a little bit of slack there. You want to get a hammer so you can pound on it to get it off. And on the back there, you want a big screwdriver, and sometimes like a pry bar, because you're going to have to pry it to pop it out. Sometimes they're a little pain, sometimes they just pop right out and they're not that difficult. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and break loose this here 14 millimeter. I'm just going to loosen this up. I'm not going to take apart the brake line or anything. I'm just going to make it a little loose so I have a little bit more room to move around on. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I removed this 14 millimeter bolt, and so just to have these brake lines loose is all I'm doing. I'm not breaking them open or nothing, just so I have a little more room to work with. And I also took loose this ABS sensor, which just is for the computer to see what's going on with the brakes. Just a little 10 millimeter. Hopefully you can see that. Just a little sensor, and I'm just going to move that out of the way. Okay, so the next step is go ahead and break loose this bolt right here, this 30 millimeter. And if you have an impact, it'd be a lot easier just to hit it real fast. I don't have an impact on me, so I'm going to have to use this ratchet. I'm going to use a breaker bar too. They can't be on there a little tight. And I always put something just so that doesn't roll backwards too much. The transmission will probably be in gear, but I just stick like a screwdriver right here. So it just catches it, makes it easier. And I'm going to go ahead and take this off. I'm going to use a breaker bar and just go ahead and loosen it off. Okay, so I got that nut off. It's a little bit of work with just a ratchet. If you got an impact, it'd be a lot easier. So the next step we want to do is we want to hit right here and break the axle loose a little bit. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is just want to hit it right here to break the axle loose. You're gonna need a hammer, and a lot of guys will use like a screwdriver or a punch in the middle right here. This is the old one, so I'm just going to tap it a few times, see how it goes. There it goes. Hopefully you saw that. It's loose in there now. Okay. So next up, I'm gonna go and pop off these bolts right here and drop this down in the front so I can pull the axle out right there. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I got these two bolts out right here that were right inside of here. And next thing, I'm just going to drop this back. And here's the CV axle, which we should be able to push out or pull out. Okay, and the CV axle should just come out now. There it is right there. And so this other side, we usually need to pry it out. There's no more bolts, so it should technically just pull straight out. But this other side, right inside of there, we're gonna have to pry and push it out this way. One thing to mention is that when you do this, usually fluid comes out, so have a drop pan bucket ready to catch any excess fluid that comes out of this. So I'm gonna go ahead and work on prying out that backside now. Okay, so I got that out. As I said, it'll leak a little bit, so make sure you have a little bit of drain pan. I did have to work a little bit. I had to get a bigger screwdriver and to pop it out and pry it out. Some are easier, some are a little harder, but basically they just pop out. You want to pry on it a little bit and it'll pop right out. Okay, so the next thing you just want to do, you just want to match them up. Make sure they're the same unit before you put the new one in. Just match it up. One thing a lot of guys do is they match. This is for the ABS right here, the brakes. You want to. Some guys put a rope around here to make sure it's the same size as the new one. I usually am okay with that, so I'm just going to go and slide in this new one. But it is something you might want to do is make sure the thing overall matches up. So next step, I'm just going to go and slide this in where I pop this one out and get it in there. So I'll be right back. Okay, before I slide in, I just wanted to show you what it looks like because it's kind of hard to do this with one hand. So I'm just basically going to take the end of the axle right here. This side over here is the front. It'll have the new nut on it, which you always want to use the new nut. And this side over here, it's real easy. It just slides in. So I'm going to go ahead and slide this in right now. Okay, so I slid it in there, and what we're going to want to do is we just want to give it a few whacks right here. We want to take this nut off. I got a rubber mallet, so I'm going to hit it a few times and just make sure it gets in there good, it gets seated in there. So I'll be right back. So I'm just using this rubber mallet. I'm not using any metal to metal or nothing. And that should be it. I saw it stop leaking over here, so it's sealed up. And what some guys do is they'll take the old nut, since you got to use a new nut right here. Some guys will screw the old nut on and hit it a few times, which is also an option. I have that rubber mallet, which works pretty good. So that's basically on that. Next step, I'm going to go ahead and slide this back together, and I'll get back to assembling it. So I'll be right back. And that slid right back in there. I have the nut right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and screw on the nut, get it started. I'm also balancing it on my knee so it doesn't pull the axle out or anything. So I'm going to go ahead and push this together right here. Yeah, if you slide the nut back on, be sure you balance it the way I pulled this apart. You know, otherwise it might pull the axle, the new axle out. Okay, I got this bottom one in, but this top one's giving me a little bit of pain, so I'm going to put the jack right underneath right here, jack it up so I can line this bolt. And it took me a little bit to get this top one lined back up. Not no big deal. I just put the jack, I hope you can see that, just right underneath, right there. Not too tight either, just basically like a little bit. Then I just pushed real hard, and it popped in there. So if you have problems with that, it's not extremely difficult, just a little bit. Okay, so I got these bolts on for this upper control arm. I'm gonna go ahead and put the bracket back on for the brake line and put the ABS sensor back in. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I got this brake line bracket back in, and I got the ABS bolt sensor back in and bolted back in. It's all in there. So next, we just got to tighten down this bolt and get it inside of there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that next. Okay, once you crank this on there and you get it tight, what you want to do is you want to take a screwdriver, you want to dent it right here so that it doesn't roll back on you. So if you do have a torque wrench, you could look up the specs online and tighten it down. I never have. Most guys I know never do, but if you wanted to, you can. Just remember to, once you get done, to indent this so that it doesn't come back on you. Okay, I just wanted to show you what it looked like. I indented it right there. That way it doesn't back off on you and come off. So that's basically it, how you can change out a CV axle on a 2012 Toyota Corolla. If you have any questions, ask me and I'll try to answer them. And right now I'm just going to put the tire on and go for a drive. And so that's basically it. If this video has helped you, please click like, please click subscribe, and have a good day.